Can you imagine waking up one morning to clear skies and then suddenly, within just a few hours, your entire town is underwater? Sounds like a scene from a disaster movie, right? But this is not fiction. It's real, and it happens more often than you might think. The culprit behind these sudden, deadly floods is something called a cloudburst. Now, you might have heard this word before, but do you really know what it means? Because trust me, it's far more dangerous than you think. A cloudburst can strike almost out of nowhere, turning normal rainfall into a disaster in minutes. How does a cloudburst unleash so much power so quickly? Why does it hit certain areas so suddenly, leaving people scrambling for safety? And most importantly, could it happen near you without warning? These are the questions we are going to explore in today's video. Firstly, most of you might be wondering, what exactly is a cloudburst? Well, in simple words, a cloudburst is an extreme weather event where an enormous amount of rain falls suddenly over a very small area, usually in less than an hour. According to the India Meteorological Department, it's defined as rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters, that's around 4 inches, in just 1 hour over a tiny patch of land about 20 to 30 square kilometers. Can you imagine that? First off, intensity. Cloudbursts are way heavier. Your normal rain might make you wet, but a cloudburst can flood streets almost instantly. Then, there's duration. A cloudburst doesn't last long. It's over in an hour, unlike regular rain that can linger all day. And the area affected. Unlike a broad rainy spell covering hundreds of kilometers, cloudbursts are very local. The scariest part? They are hard to predict. You can check the weather and everything looks normal. And then, bam, it hits. But where do these powerful storms even happen? Well, cloudbursts love mountainous regions and areas with strong monsoon climates. Think steep hills, valleys, and heavy seasonal rains. Places such as the Himalayan and Karakoram ranges in South Asia, India, Pakistan, Nepal, parts of China, and Southeast Asia are particularly vulnerable. These regions have the perfect mix of geography and weather to make a cloudburst more likely. Can you imagine a sudden deluge racing down a mountain valley, turning calm rivers into raging torrents in minutes? That's exactly what makes cloudbursts so dangerous. Even recent events prove this. Severe flooding in Pakistan's Punjab province affected almost 2 million people, and intense monsoon rains, possibly including cloudbursts, made the situation far worse. So understanding how cloudbursts work isn't just interesting, it can save lives. Now that we know what a cloudburst is, why it's different, and where it hits, the next part is even more shocking. How these sudden bursts of water turn into deadly floods. Let's break it down step by step. First, imagine over 100 millimeters. That's about 4 inches of rain falling in just 1 hour over a small area of 20 to 30 square kilometers. Can you picture that? Streets, fields, and rivers suddenly hit by what feels like a mini tsunami. This rapid accumulation of water often overwhelms drainage systems, and before you know it, flash floods are racing through towns and villages. Now, here's where it gets even scarier. In mountainous regions, steep slopes make all that water flow downhill incredibly fast. This isn't a gentle stream. It's a roaring wall of water that can sweep away anything in its path. People living in river valleys are especially at risk because the water funnels directly toward them. Can you imagine all that water rushing down in just minutes? But wait, there's more. The intense rainfall can loosen soil and rocks, triggering landslides. These landslides carry mud, stones, and debris straight into rivers, sometimes blocking them completely. When the water can't flow normally, it backs up and floods nearby areas, making things even worse. Then comes the impact on infrastructure. Flash floods don't just affect homes, they can submerge roads, bridges, and entire neighborhoods. Electricity and communication systems are often knocked out, making rescue operations extremely difficult. People are trapped, help can't reach them quickly, and chaos spreads within minutes. Recent incidents show just how real this danger is. In August 2025, a cloudburst in the Kishtwar district of Jammu and Kashmir triggered flash floods that devastated Chositi village, causing massive damage and loss of life, as reported by Al Jazeera. So, from intense rainfall to rapid runoff, landslides, infrastructure collapse, and tragic loss of life, the chain reaction is both fast and deadly. It's like nature unleashing everything it has in just a few hours. Now let's see what this really means for people on the ground, because understanding the numbers and science is one thing, but seeing the human impact is something else entirely. Cloudbursts don't just flood streets, they destroy lives in minutes. Can you imagine losing your home overnight or being forced to flee while water rushes past you? It's terrifying to think about, but for many people, this is reality. Take the Buner district in Pakistan, for example. In August 2025, a cloudburst triggered flash floods that led to at least 337 deaths, with Buner alone accounting for 207 fatalities, according to Reuters. Homes and even entire villages were swept away, leaving families stranded and in urgent need of rescue. And it's not just Pakistan. In Doda district of Jammu and Kashmir, a cloudburst on August 26, 2025 caused flash floods that killed 3 people and destroyed vital infrastructure, including a bridge, as reported by the Economic Times. The loss of homes and property is staggering. The sudden, intense rainfall overwhelms drainage systems and erodes soil, causing landslides and wiping out entire neighborhoods. Survivors are often left waiting for rescue in remote areas, surrounded by destruction. Residential zones are inundated, belongings washed away, and the sense of security people once had disappears in an instant. And the impact doesn't stop at physical loss. According to several studies, the psychological and social consequences can be long-lasting. Losing loved ones, homes, and communities can trigger severe mental health challenges, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Studies show that displaced individuals are at a higher risk of developing these conditions. The destruction of infrastructure and livelihoods also disrupts community support systems, leaving people isolated and struggling to cope. So, when we talk about cloudbursts, it's not just water falling from the sky, it's families uprooted, homes destroyed, and communities traumatized. Understanding this human cost is crucial because it reminds us that behind every statistic is a real person whose life has been turned upside down. But here's where things get even messier. Climate change is turning up the heat, literally and figuratively. Can you believe the weather is really doing this on purpose? The South Asian monsoon, which we've always relied on for rain, is now getting way more extreme. Studies show that intense one-day rainfall events could increase by up to 58% if global temperatures rise by just 2 degrees Celsius, according to Carbon Brief. That's a huge jump. Imagine drainage systems struggling to keep up, rivers swelling faster than ever, and flash floods hitting towns like an unwelcome surprise party. And here's the kicker. Countries like Pakistan, which barely contribute to global emissions, are often left to face the worst of it, while some of the biggest polluters keep shrugging. And it's not just the rain. Up in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, home to over 7,000 glaciers, rising temperatures are making glaciers melt faster than ever. This isn't just a slow drip, it's huge amounts of water rushing into rivers, raising the risk of floods downstream. On top of that, glacial lakes are forming in these melting zones, and if they burst, what scientists call a glacial lake outburst flood or GLOF, the results can be catastrophic, sweeping away everything in their path. But wait, it gets even more unpredictable. Climate change is messing with traditional monsoon patterns, meaning one year you might get relentless rain, the next, a prolonged dry spell. Crops fail, water resources are stressed, and extreme weather events, droughts, floods, you name it, become a terrifying norm. So, when you see cloudbursts hitting harder and faster, it's climate change stacking the deck, creating more extreme rainfall, melting glaciers, and erratic weather patterns that make floods even deadlier. And sadly, the communities hit hardest are often the ones who barely had a hand in causing the problem. So how do we fight back against this invisible menace? How can communities prepare for something as sudden and destructive as a cloudburst? Well, early warning systems are the first line of defense. In Pakistan, the National Multi-Hazard Early Warning System works to provide timely alerts for disasters, including floods. It combines data from the Pakistan Meteorological Department and the National Disaster Management Authority to warn people in advance. But here's the challenge. Getting these warnings to people in remote villages or mountainous regions is still tricky. Would you know what to do if a cloudburst hit your town tomorrow? Then comes the role of government and NGOs. In August 2025, over 1 million people were evacuated from Punjab due to severe flooding, marking one of the worst deluges in decades, as reported by Reuters. NGOs, like Concerned Worldwide and the Aga Khan Agency for Habitat, train local communities through programs like CBDRM and Community Emergency Response Teams. These volunteers, many of them women, provide first aid, help with rescues, and support post-disaster relief, showing just how much preparation matters. Now let's get practical and see what you can do if the skies go wild. First, during heavy rainfall, the simplest rule is stay indoors. Find a sturdy building, stay away from windows and doors, and avoid underpasses, drainage ditches, or low-lying areas that can flood quickly, as recommended by the National Weather Service and Calgary.ca. Would you know where to run if water started rushing in? Next, limit drive. Roads get slippery, visibility drops, and driving can turn dangerous fast. Keep an eye on local weather alerts and advisories to stay informed. Planning ahead is crucial. Know your evacuation routes and designate a meeting point outside flood-prone areas. Keep important documents in a waterproof container so you don't lose them in the chaos, as suggested by Hope Force International. Finally, prepare an emergency kit for at least 72 hours. Include water, non-perishable food, first aid supplies, flashlights, batteries, a portable charger, clothing, hygiene items, and even a tent or tarp for temporary shelter. Store everything in a waterproof, easy-to-carry container so you're ready to move at a moment's notice. It's time for Factssay Confidence Score. Now that we've talked about the science, the human cost, and the steps you can take to stay safe, it's time to step back and think bigger. Yes, governments and agencies try to help, but let's be honest, sometimes the response isn't enough, and communities end up facing the worst of it. So what can we do? Planting trees, protecting forests, and fighting climate change in small ways at home can actually make a difference. Every action counts when nature is turning unpredictable. Here's something to think about. If you had the power to change one thing in your city to prepare for extreme weather, what would it be? Drop your ideas in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Cloudbursts might be sudden and terrifying, but awareness, preparation, and action can give us a fighting chance. See you in the next video. Until then, stay safe.